Another day, another heckling. It was the same old routine that he'd gotten used to over the years. Prince Blueblood was tired of listening to his adopted aunts and his adopted sister lecturing him on how to behave. So what if he treated a mare who had hoped to pursue a romantic relationship with him a little harshly? If she couldn't put up with his behavior, she clearly wasn't cut out for him. It certainly did not give her the right to splatter cake all over his coat after he used her as a pony shield. She would have done the same thing if the roles were reversed. Why did everyone get on his case just because of what that mare had said? He was a prince, and as such, he had a reputation to uphold.
Blueblood, are you listening to me?
Yeah, whatever.
Prince Blueblood replied, pretending to be interested in the conversation. Princess Celestia didn't believe his lie for a second.
This is serious,
she said sternly, casting an angry glare at her adopted nephew.
Your treatment of Rarity during the Grand Galloping Gala was disgraceful. I have been trying to explain to you why, but apparently you are not interested.
I've heard this garbage from you, Aunt Luna, and Cadence several times already. In fact, I've lost track of how often you've been lecturing and scolding me.
Scolding? You're not a little colt anymore, Blueblood. You are a prince, and it's time you started acting like one.
I've been acting like a prince since the day I became one. I take my title seriously. You, on the other hoof, just sit on your throne all day and do nothing except raise and lower the sun. Even your faithful student has contributed more to Equestria than you have ever done.
You leave Twilight out of this!
Princess Celestia replied. Her usual calm tone had been replaced by a very angry one. Prince Blueblood took no notice.
And don't get me started on that captain of the guard that Cadence married. He does not deserve to be a prince. He has done nothing to earn that title. Heck, as far as I'm concerned, he shouldn't even be a captain of the guard.
Shining Armor has proven himself to be more of a true prince than you will ever be. Obviously, you still haven't learned your lesson after all this time.
That's because I have done nothing wrong. Why can't you and every pony else see that?
I see that simply trying to talk sense into you will not work. Therefore, I have decided to revoke your princely powers until further notice.
What? You can't do that!
I'm afraid I can. Effective immediately, you will no longer be allowed to attend royal summits or travel outside of Canterlot. If this does not inspire you to change, then your very title may be revoked if I see fit to do so.
But, Auntie...
No buts and no excuses. This discussion is over. Now, leave my sight. The next time we meet, I hope you will have come to your senses.
It's not fair.
Prince Blueblood thought to himself as the day went on. Just because of one mare, his title was now little more than a joke, and the word quickly spread. Everywhere he went, he was shunned and mocked, whether it be by the royal guards, diplomats, or even the nobility. Needless to say, he was glad when he could finally leave the palace. Perhaps a night of fun and games at his favorite hangout spot would cheer him up. At the very least, it would certainly take his mind off of things. The Royal Flush Casino had a reputation for representing the ugly side of Canterlot. Many ponies who were down on their luck were often said to stop by here, hoping to make it rich and get rid of all their troubles. But few ever trotted away richer than when they came in. Even so, it was one of the few places in Canterlot where you could be a prince or a pauper, and ponies could care less. Naturally, this was the perfect place for a humiliated prince to waste some time. It helped that Prince Blueblood was a skillful card shark. He often enjoyed deceiving his opponents, making them think he was weaker than he really was. Then, when he knew they had let their guard down, he would make his move, humiliating anyone foolish enough to challenge him. Tonight, however, Prince Blueblood found that his usual table was occupied by a few other figures. One of them was wearing a thick coat, so it was impossible to tell who it was. But the other two were a pair of identical unicorn stallions with light yellow coats and red mane and tails. The only difference was, one had a mustache and the other did not.
I told you we never should have told Applejack anything! We should have just politely shown her the door.
And I told you we should have never promoted that bumbling silver shill in the first place.
How were we supposed to know he let the cat out of the bag? Don't forget that when he came to us, he said he was willing to do anything and everything to help us.
But he ran into that know-it-all-nothing Applejack. And I find it hard to believe that it's not a coincidence that he developed a conscience soon afterward. Heck, it was only after he met her that he even bothered to ask for promotion. That should have been a warning sign. Besides, Applejack would have found out the truth about our tonic one way or another. Telling her was the best way to get her off our backs.
You two think you have it bad? At least you still have your machines to fall back on. Me? I've got nothing. And it's all thanks to a certain Pegasus deciding to play Filly Scout and be a tattletale.
Pardon me.
Prince Blueblood spoke up as he sat in his usual place.
I know it's not polite to eavesdrop on other ponies' conversations, but I must say your conversations sound absolutely fascinating.
And who are you?
I guess my reputation does not precede me. But that's to be expected with commoners like you. If you really want to know, I am Prince Blueblood. The Prince Blueblood, to be precise.
Prince, huh? Big deal. Name's Lightning Dust, and I'm a Pegasus. That's all you need to know for now.
What about you two? I'm Flim.
And I'm Flam. We call ourselves the Flim Flam
Brothers.
We're traveling sales ponies, who unfortunately without a product to sell. Thanks to Applejack and her family connections.
Say, that Applejack wouldn't be by any chance be the same one who was running that pathetic apple stand at the Grand Galloping Gala, would it? It probably is.
If she was selling apple products and had that thick country voice, I'd say it's her.
Flam nodded.
What did she look like?
Well, I remember her having an orange coat and green eyes.
That's her, all right.
How do you know her? Let's just say that a friend of hers and I have a history. A troublesome one at that.
Prince Blueblood stated. Then he turned to Lightning Dust.
I'm willing to bet that the Pegasus you were complaining about was none other than a Rainbow Dash from Ponyville. Am I right?
You are. Let me guess. You know a friend of hers. The same one you have a history with.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Lightning Dust.
Prince Blueblood said with a nod.
And you want to know something else? Both her and Applejack, as well as that friend I told you about, are connected to Princess Twilight, Equestria's newest princess.
I should have known.
Just great.
As if we didn't have enough problems to deal with already.
Prince Blueblood was quite surprised to see that the three ponies seated before him were no better off than he was. He couldn't believe his luck. He'd finally found ponies who would hopefully understand how he felt, and who wouldn't get on his case because of one event.
So, are we just gonna sit around here talking, or are we gonna play some cards? I'm itching to kick some plot tonight.
Hey, got room for one more player? I don't mean to boast, but I got some pretty good card skills. Lightning Dust instantly rose from the table, still keeping the thick coat on, and confronted the figure. Said figure happened to be an earth pony mare with a light pink coat, an inky purple mane and tail, dull brown eyes, 3 buttons for a cutie mark, and a checkered blue scarf.
Beat it, lady! The game's about to start!
For your information, I have a name. It's Suri Polymer. And you'd do wise to remember it, okay?
Ugh! I don't care who you are! You don't belong here!
Aw, what's the matter? Afraid you'll lose to a girl?
You couldn't even beat me in a fight.
Oh, really? Care to bet?
Nope. But you want to join the game, you'll have to get past me. And you don't stand a chance.
That's what you think.
Suri replied, dodging out of the way when Lightning Dust lunged at her. Lightning Dust fell to the floor.
Told you so. Now, let's see what you look like without that coat.
Don't touch it!
Lightning Dust protested, but it was no use. Suri pulled off the coat, revealing Lightning Dust's true identity as a Pegasus mare, with amber eyes, a bright blonde mane and tail, and a lightning bolt cutie mark. It was easy to see where she'd gotten her name. I knew there was something familiar about you, Suri admitted, taking Lightning Dust's seat at the table. You look just like your sister.
Ugh. And how do you know my sister?
Lightning Dust asked with a groan as she managed to find another seat.
Well, when you've worked in Manhattan for as long as I have, you get to know a lot of influential ponies. One of them was your sister, and she told me a lot about you. Never thought I'd see you face to face, but life is just full of surprises.
So, how much do you really know about me?
Lightning Dust asked as the cards were dealt.
Pretty much everything.
Then, you know about what happened at the Wonderbolt Academy?
Actually, no. Your sister told me you stopped communicating with her after you headed off to that academy. Last time I checked, it's been a long time since she'd gotten a letter from you.
So what's a Manhattan mare like you
doing in a place like this?
I must admit that thought has crossed my mind. So, mind filling us in?
Not really. I was betrayed by 2 ponies I thought I could trust. And one of them was my old friend, Rarity.
Rarity? As in, the same Rarity who came to drop off a care package for Rainbow Dash at the Academy?
And helped Applejack and her family win the cider contest?
Which we would have won hooves down, need I add.
Not to mention the one who ruined my life.
Yes, yes, and yes. At least, I'm pretty sure. After all, I swear I heard the names Rainbow Dash and Applejack being tossed around when Rarity's friends came to see her at Fashion Week. I still can't believe they were what convinced Coco Pamel to turn on me. And to think I was about to make it big in the fashion world.
I was much closer to having my dreams come true. If it hadn't been for Rainbow Dash's friends and their silly care package, I'd be flying with the Wonderbolts by now.
Neither of you have come as close to succeeding as my brother and I.
Not only did we very nearly corner the cider market, but we also almost broke into the world of medicine with our own tonic. But that wretched Applejack and her family had to go and throw a wrench in our plans. I think the truth of the matter here is that each of us have our own story to tell about how Twilight Sparkle and her friends foiled our chances at success. So, as we play a little game, why don't we each compare our stories? That way, we'll know for sure who truly came the closest to having a good life, before those do-gooders went and messed everything up. I'm pretty sure that my story is the best, but let's hear your stories anyway, just in case.
Sounds good to me. I know I'll win that contest.
You're going to lose to me in more than just cards, Lightning Dust.
My brother and I are sure to win this time.
Sorry, but none of you will ever be able to top our stories. Well, I'd say ladies first, but seeing as there's two present, we'll need to decide.
That won't be necessary. I'll go first, okay?
Very well, go ahead. I'm eager to hear your story, though I doubt it'll beat mine.
We'll just see about that,
Suri said as she looked at her cards. Well, although I came to call Manhattan home, Ponyville is where I grew up.
What's that got to do with anything?
Don't rush me, okay? I'll explain as I see fit. Anyway, I was a part of the Ponyville Knitting League. And it's there that I met the pony who later stabbed me in the back. Rarity.
But didn't you two keep in touch?
Nope. Rarity forgot all about me. She had her sights set on Canterlot. I knew I had to be more realistic in order to succeed. So, when I was old enough, I packed my bags and headed to the Big Apple. Eventually, I was making enough of a name for myself to enter into Fashion Week, hosted by Prim Henline.
Ah, yes, I've heard of her. She's a stickler for punctuality from what I've heard.
Indeed she is. That's why my brother and I have made certain to stay as far away from her and fashion as possible.
I'm telling the story. Thank you very much. Now, if there are no more further interruptions, I'm about to get to the important part. So, when Rarity finally makes it, we spend a little time catching up. And then she generously gives me some of her fabric for me to use. Naturally, I had my assistant Coco Pennell copy Rarity's line, with some improvements courtesy of me. Then, when Rarity finds out, she snaps at me as if she's forgotten that she lets me borrow her fabric. I could tell then and there that she didn't know that, in the fashion world, it's every pony for themselves. And when I tell her, she runs away crying like a baby.
So, what happened then?
Lightning Dust asked, trying to hide how good her hand was from her opponents.
Well, she somehow managed to put together a new line, and despite missing her run-through appointment, Prim let her compete. And somehow, because she knew Hoity-Toity, Sapphire Shores, and Photo Finish, they all started singing her praises, and the crowd went wild. I couldn't believe it when she was actually declared the winner, even after running off. So, naturally, I felt like Prim was giving Rarity too many chances. And I told Rarity to stay away from her. Everything was going my way. And then Coco decided to expose my so-called copycat line to Prim, and I lost. What's even worse is that once Coco got the trophy, she quit. And worst of all, that meddling Rarity gave her a job designing costumes for a theater.
Really? You were cheated out of your victory by your assistant? That's pathetic. And it just goes to show that you can never trust anyone. If you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself.
That's a very fascinating story, Suri. I just hope you'll have better luck at poker than you did with fashion.
I haven't lost a match yet. Once I won enough bits here, I'm going back to Manhattan and teaching that ungrateful Coco a lesson she'll never forget. Generosity is pointless because you'll never get compensated for it.
I hear ya. But once you've heard my story, you'll see why my story is undoubtedly the best.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
I thought that once I made it into the Wonderbolt Academy, everything would work out. I just needed to impress Spitfire with my moves, and I was sure I'd land a spot on the team. I even showed her how determined I was, by having her set the Dizitron to maximum intensity, something that no other recruit even thought of doing.
I'll bet you set an academy record.
After a performance like that, you certainly would have deserved no less.
Well, I would have if Rainbow Dash hadn't gone ahead of me, but that was the least of my troubles. I was thrilled when she and I got partnered up with me as the lead pony. I thought for sure that once I proved myself as leader, I'd have my dream of being a Wonderbolt in the bag. But as the days went by, Rainbow Dash kept complaining about my behavior. She kept saying that I was pushing myself too hard. I guess a lazy slacker who got kicked out of fight school wouldn't know the difference between determination and slacking off.
And that's when she complained to Spitfire, right?
Close, but not quite. It all went down during the cloud busting exercise. I decided to set a new record by using a tornado to clear away all the clouds, and Rainbow Dash went along with it. Then, when it went out of control and struck a balloon that just so happened to be holding her friends, she had the nerve to pin the blame on me. As far as I'm convinced, she sabotaged it on purpose to make me look bad. That care package wasn't part of the plan, but it worked to her advantage because it made me look like a monster.
So Rainbow Dash told Spitfire after that, correct?
That's a pointless question, brother.
Exactly, because the answer is yes. So when Spitfire finally decides to listen to Rainbow Dash's belly aching, she completely sides with her. And instead of asking me for my version of the story, or even giving me a second chance, she goes and kicks me out of the academy. So thanks to her and my snitching wing pony, my dreams were crushed forever. And I'm certain that had it not been for that little incident, Spitfire would have made me a Wonderbolt, or at least put in a good word for me with the rest of the team. But no, she tells me I'm pushing myself too hard and that I need to be more careful. But since when does being soft get you anything? Since that day, I vowed to get back at her and Rainbow Dash somehow and prove to them just how useless loyalty really is.
Funny. Your sister never spoke highly of you. She told me herself that she was surprised that you made it to the academy at all.
You just keep smiling while you can, Surrey. 'Cause once I've beaten you and the others in this here game, you're going to be begging for mercy. And just to forewarn you right now, half of me wants to punch your lights out.
So what does the other half want?
To plow you with a carriage.
Considering your ego, I doubt you stand a chance against us. But if you really think you can beat me, by all accounts, try. It's been a while since I had someone to amuse me.
That's so funny I forgot to laugh.
Lightning Dust said with an angry glare.
Now then, I intend to save my story for last. So, Flim and Flam, let's hear your tale of how this Applejack character ruined your lives.
Well, we have two tales, actually.
We know. You've told us already.
So, which would you like to hear first?
The side story sounds interesting. Enlighten us, if you would be so kind.
Very well then. My brother and I had just put the finishing touches in our latest, greatest creation, the Super Speedy Sidus Squeezy 6000.
The what now?
Jeez, I didn't know you guys could get so cheesy.
Lightning Dust smirked.
Hey, it's a very catchy name.
Anyhow, we rolled into Ponyville and showed what our invention could do. Everyone loved it, even Applejack and her family. But then the instant we offered them a 75-25 profit split, which was a pretty fair deal in our book, they turned us down. So we drove off and decided to do what any sane pony would have done in that situation. Run them out of business and take over.
So the Apple family agrees to our contest. And then the instant things started looking bad, they call in honorary family members to help. If we'd known they were just her friends, we never would have agreed to let them help. But we did, and because of that, they started to beat us.
And then what happened?
We increased the power on the machine and started making more barrels than we knew what to do. And we won the contest. But then those ponies are stupid enough to go right for the last batch of barrels we made. And they think our cider tastes horrible. So naturally, we made our quick getaway and went back to the drawing board.
So, when does this Silver Shield figure come into play?
Well, after that cider fiasco, no one was willing to give us a chance.
And just when it looked like we were down on our luck and had nowhere to go, we happened to bump into this earth pony named Silver Shield. Turns out, he has a sort of concoction that he's hoping to sell. And out of desperation, he turns to us. Out of the kindness of our hearts, we take him in. Then we work up a routine to market his creation as a cure-all tonic. We even get him to agree to pretend to be cured.
But Applejack saw through your routine, didn't she?
I'm afraid she did. Apparently, she wasn't grateful for the fact that we made her granny feel young again, and just had to know what was in our tonic. We thought Silver Shield would be clever enough to avoid being caught, but I guess we gave him too much credit.
So, against our better judgment, we tell Applejack what a tonic really is. And for a while, the thought of making her granny unhappy is enough to keep her quiet. Everything was going our way, and we even give Silvershill a promotion. But when we encourage Granny Smith to do what she always wanted to do in her youth, Applejack decides to speak up and expose our tonic for what it really is. And then Silvershill decides he wants to be honest as well, and reveals that our tonic isn't even a tonic. So once again, we run off. But along the way, we lost almost all of the money we earned from the tonic sales. I guess it never dawned on those two nitwits that honesty isn't always the best policy. Would you really want to tell someone they look ugly? Or would you want to lie in order to make them feel better?
Gee, that's really too bad, boys. But then, I guess you'll both always come in second. Speaking of which, let's see who's won this little poker match.
Everyone proceed to show their hands.
Well, wouldn't you know it? Lady Luck has smiled on me. 2 aces, 2 kings, and a jack. Looks like I win again.
No way! I can't believe this!
Impossible!
You must have cheated!
Let me see those cards!
Sorry, every pony, but those cards are legit. No sore losers. You all lost fair and square.
Blueblood said with a smile, scooping up his winnings.
If it makes you feel any better, I still have to tell my story of how Twilight Sparkle and her friends ruined my life.
Well, get on with it. We've got nothing better to do.
Very well then. It all started with the Grand Galloping Gala in Canterlot a few years back.
Oh yeah, I remember that. It came to Manhattan not that long ago. It's a party for the rich and famous.
Indeed. But a few outstanding individuals are allowed to attend as well. Apparently, my aunt, Princess Celestia, decided to invite her faithful student and her friends. You know, despite them essentially being from a backwoods town called Ponyville. I didn't learn till after the gala that she did it solely to liven things up, as she put it.
And did they?
Oh, they did more than that. Miss Rarity continuously expected me to do things, such as open the door or pay for food. She didn't seem to understand that I am a prince, and I have more important things to worry about. Then there was her friend Applejack, who tricked me into eating her pathetic carnival apple treats. And that was just the beginning. When I came back into the ballroom, Pinkie Pie, who was another one of Miss Rarity's friends, decided to team up with Applejack and attack me. She did a stage dive onto one of Applejack's baked goods and sent it flying at me. Then, Miss Rarity snapped at me. Just because I used her as a shield, she made me bump into a statue, and that's when her friend, Rainbow Dash, decided to try and be the big hero. But she only succeeded in destroying most of the ballroom. And the icing on the cake was when Miss Rarity's friend Fluttershy came barging into the room with a bunch of wild animals, turning the Grand Galloping Gala into a zoo. I'd never been so humiliated in all my life.
Wow. Sounds like you had it bad.
That alone sounds like it could top any of our stories.
It gets worse.
Just recently, because of what happened at the gala, my aunt has decided to revoke all of my royal privileges.
That must suck.
Indeed, it does. But I guess meeting all of you has been a decent consolation prize. Hey, I just thought of a brilliant idea.
You gonna tell us what it is?
Of course. Seeing as we all share a common foe in Twilight Sparkle and her annoying do-gooder friends, why don't we form an alliance? As the old saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Count me in! I won't rest until Coco and Rarity pay for ruining my fashion career.
If you need the technical know-how of my brother and I, just ask.
We'll show Applejack why you don't mess with the Flim Flam brothers.
What about you, Lightning Dust?
I'm not exactly fond of teaming up with any of you, but I guess you can include me as a reluctant ally. Just don't expect me to like it all that well. If, however, you know of a way for me to pay Rainbow Dash back, let me know.
Excellent. This looks like the start of a promising partnership. Watch out, Twilight Sparkle. We're coming for you. And your little friends, too.
Hey everyone, Agent Fluffy here. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. If you want to support me even more, feel free to support my Patreon. The links are right here.